Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. We'll be learning how to draft an armhole princess that's bustier. It's very detailed for beginners. So that's the front pattern and that's the back pattern. So you just need your measurements: bust circumference, under bust circumference, waist circumference, bust point. So what I'll do now, I'll place my pattern paper first. I'll try to mark my horizontal lines. The first thing I'll measure now is my chest line. It's very easy to get. Just divide your bust circumference by 6, then add 1 inch to whatever you get. So for this one, I'm using 7.5 as my I'm using 8 inches for my chest line. Then I'll mark my bust point. That's where your nipple is, 10.5. You have to measure the person and use whatever you get. Then I'm marking the underbust. The underbust here, I'm using 13.5. So I'll rule my horizontal lines now. So chest line, bust point, I'm trying to label it, underbust. Then that's the waistline. So I'll put in my shoulder measurements. The shoulder is 15. You divide by 2. That's 7.5. So I'll rule a straight line down. My shoulder slant 1 inch. The neckline, I'm doing 3 inches. So I've marked that already. So I'll rule the line for my shoulder slant. So I'm doing 3 by 3 for the neckline, which is basic for our neckline. You can use any neckline of your choice, but for this I'm doing 3 by 3. So I'll mark that out now. Can you see? Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It's a way of supporting us. So and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we post new videos. So the next thing I'll do on that shoulder line now, I'm going to look for the midpoint. What I have there now is 4. So I'll mark that now. I'm trying to get my armhole curve. So I'll go in with 1/2 inch. It's very easy. So I'm going to try to connect it first to that line, then I'll mark it down so it will touch my chest line from that 1/2 inch. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay, so I'll mark it down. That's for my armhole. So what we'll do now, you measure your bust span, which is your nipple to nipple measurement. The nipple to nipple measurement I have for this person is 8 inches. So I'll divide it by 2, which is 4. So on my bust point, I'm going to mark that 4. Divide nipple to nipple by 2. Whatever result you get, you mark it. So we're using 8 for this one. Divided by 2 is 4. So on the underbust, I will minus 1/2 inch from the 4 inches I used there. So that's 3.5. So I'll mark 3.5 on the underbust line. Then I'll mark 3.5 on the waistline. Can you see? So after doing that now, I will connect the lines. Remember, your nipple to nipple measurement is very important whenever you are making any bustier. So I'll connect the lines now. So see what I have there. So I'll move up to my armhole line. That's 4 inches is the middle of that shoulder line. So I'll connect it to that point. See how I'm placing my ruler now. That's how. So I'll connect it now to that part now. So after doing this, I'll go to my underbust line. I'll mark 2 inches on that side. That's one. I'll go down again. I'll mark same 2 inches on the waistline. That's 2 inches. So I'll take it to the waistline and mark the same 2 inches there. Then I'll connect the line. So from there, I'll connect to my bust point. I'll place my ruler like so and I'll connect to my bust point, just as I'm doing there now. That's for my bust point. You can go down from the bust point with 1/2 inch, or just go to the bust point, whichever one is correct. So I'll go up to that my shoulder line again. I'll measure 1 inch rather. I'll measure 1 inch and I'll mark it. Can you see? So I'll measure 1 inch and mark there. And I'll connect to my bust point. So this time I don't want it too sharp. I'll just go up for my bust point. I'm trying to connect the lines. So I'll go above my, sorry, that was a mistake. I didn't place my ruler very well. So I'm trying to show you how I'll go above my bust points from 1 inch above. You can do that too on the lower parts. It makes that edge less pointy. So I'm trying to connect the line now. So I've done that. You can see what I have there. So I'll still go back to my shoulder line. I'll measure the distance between the two darts, the first dart leg and the second. So what I have there is 1 inch. So I will extend the armhole line with the difference I have, which is 1 inch. I will extend it. Can you see? So I'm going to curve a new armhole line. You extend it so that when you join it, it will still be equal. So I'm trying to draw a new armhole line. So that's our new armhole line. We are not using the other one again. So I'll connect it. Can you see what we have? So we're almost done now. So just try to blend the sharp edge. Avoid sharp edges. So when you're sewing, everything will come out very nice and fine. So I'm trying to blend the sharp edges on my pattern. So I'm trying to shade the parts that will be cutting out on the pattern. So I'm done doing that now. So I'm trying to put in my measurements. So you divide your measurement by 4. My underbust measurement is 28. I'm going to divide it by 4, which is 7 inches. So I'll mark that 7 inches on my pattern now. Then once you mark it, remember the darts that we took out. We are going to measure it. What we took out 2 inches darts from the pattern, so we are going to add it back. If you don't add it back, when you finish sewing, your measurement will not be complete. So I'm adding the 2 inches back. Sorry, okay, I'll mark that 2 inches now. I'm not adding sewing allowance on this pattern. I'm just using the exact. So when you want to sew, you add your sewing allowance. So I just added the 2 inches that I took out back. My waist measurement is 28 as well. I divide by 4. I got 7 inches. It's 30. So I divided by 4. I marked what I got when I divided by 4. Then I added the allowance for the darts that I took out. So just divide your bust, underbust, and waist circumference by 4. Then you add the darts that you are cutting out. You add the allowance back, so your dress will be complete. So you can add your sewing allowance. I didn't add sewing allowance for this pattern. I just measured like that. So I'm adding it back now. So I'll repeat same process. Divide everything by 4. Add the allowance back to the pattern. Then you add your sewing allowance. Make sure you add your sewing allowance. If not, after sewing, you may not be able to wear the dress. So I'm doing that now. So I'm just adding the allowance on the pattern. So I'll just connect and cut out. We are done with the front pattern. It's very simple. So don't forget to drop your comments. If this video was helpful, let us know. Drop it on the comment section so we know. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified. So after cutting out, this is what we have. That's the front pattern. So we are moving over to the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat same process. My chest line. For this, I'm just measuring my chest line. So I rule my horizontal line and I will label. So I'm putting my zip allowance. I'm doing 1.5 inch. You can do 2 inches depending on how you add allowance when you are sewing. So that's our zip allowance for the back. Zip allowance where you put your zip. So the next thing I'll do, I'll measure my back. My back divided by 2 is 7.5. My back is 15. So I'll rule that down now. For my armhole, that's my shoulder line. So my 1 inch slant. So I'm doing 3 by 1 inch for the neckline for the back. It all depends on the neckline you are doing. For this tutorial, I'm just using the basic measurements, 3 by 1 inch for the neckline. That's what I'm trying to mark now. So we'll be making another video on how to draft a bustier when we are done with this. So I'm just trying to repeat what I did for the front. I've explained already. I'm trying to cut my armhole line. I'm trying to curve my armhole line. So I'm just repeating that now. So this is very easy. So I'm through with that. So the next thing I'll do now, that's my chest line. I'm trying to measure to label it. That's the chest line, and that's our waistline there on the pattern. So I'm going to remember my nipple to nipple measurement. My bust span measurement is 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. That's what I will use. So I'm marking 4 inches on the pattern. So when I rule a line there, that will serve as my dart leg, where I'll put my dart. So to get your dart leg, always use your nipple to nipple measurement, divide it by 2. So on the waistline now, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides for my dart, 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on the other side. So I'll just connect the line for my darts, waist darts. So that's that. So I've done that now. So that's my dart leg, my darts now. So we are done with the waist dart. So if you want to, so I'm trying to put my measurements now, my bust measurements, my waist measurement divided by 4, my waist divided by 4. Then I will add that dart, which is 1 inch. Remember, whatever you are cutting out, you are going to add it back, so your pattern will be complete when you are done sewing, so your clothes will fit. Please don't forget to add your sewing allowance. So I didn't add it on the pattern. So I'm going to cut. So on my zip allowance part, I will mark 1/2 inch on the lower part. See what I'm doing? I'll mark 1/2 inch there. The reason for doing this is for my zip to relax, so it will not gape. So when you fix your zip, it will lay very well on your back when you cut out a little for me, because our back is not straight. So I'm marking out all the areas we'll be cutting out for this pattern. Can you see? So I'm cutting that as out. So I'm just cutting out what I will not be needing for this pattern. So to avoid that sharp edge, I will go up with 1 inch there and cut out. So I'm doing now. So I'm cutting out what I will not be needing. You see, it's very simple. So we're almost done. But if you want to make a princess dart too for the back, you just connect it to the armhole and cut out. There's no need for any dart. So I'll just cut that out now, and our back pattern is ready. So that's the dart. You close it, just sew it in when you are sewing. So see what we have now. Remember, when you are cutting, place your fabric on fold to cut. It's double. So that's the front pattern and that's the back pattern. So thanks for watching. See you in our next video. Bye.